What up, guys? Another live today to talk about a bunch of posts and opinions and thoughts of mine. As usual, I like getting your feedback on the above. But yeah, let us start. Um, the first thought that I have was that 10 years of cracking $1 billion problems is just like 10 years cracking a $1 million problem. I think there's a lot of truth to that. So you can choose and go the agency route, for example, like I've been doing, and try to make short-term money, have the MRR, and the cash flow and all of that. But in the end, if you continue in that route, I think you'll end up like the couple $1 million. While if you hustle on a groundbreaking problem and really like a moonshot, I mean, you'll need to go with a different route. That way, you'll need to have funds, right? Like raise funds from VCs and so forth. But I think you can spend 10 years of your life and it will equally affect your longevity because both paths are somewhat stressful. Both paths are really hard. But 10 years later with the moonshot, you'll get like $1 billion exit, most probably. Um, and why saying it's probably equally difficult because the moonshot, at least you have a sense of purpose, right? Like I'm literally changing humanity right now. I'm not, by the way, that was like a figurative, but I want to engage in a moonshot. I'm still debating on how, and my system that I'm going for startup is sort of the startup studio way. More on that later. But I'm still constantly debating that. I think I should be going on to moonshots rather than going the simple agency route. I think, the moonshot is the energy that you get from that. It's pretty similar to stress level because you can change pretty much everything mentally, right? Um, you can decide to be stressed by whatever circumstances vs situations that are just not urgent. So you can decide on what is stressful or not. Anyway, so that's my first one. Would love to hear what you guys have to say about them. Um, the most successful founders that I've found in this life have been excluded their whole lives. So why are people trying to make everything so inclusive? Seems like breeding mediocrity, in my opinion. That is controversial. Will certainly get the inclusion people on their feet. I think it's definitely worth discussion. It's not the first time I have this thought. It doesn't mean that it's smart. Obviously, I'm white. I didn't grow up black or of any other race. I'm a man as well, so definitely not disfavored for being a woman. But it seems that all the biggest and baddest entrepreneurs nowadays, they grew up like as nerds. Most of them were secluded, right? Like if you think of Elon, Zuck was certainly a not duck as well, Bill Gates as well. They were like total fucking nerds. And they were in their own little world. They weren't like social and outgoing and pretty people. Never had the looks really. Obviously, they were all white, okay, but I mean, I think scientifically that doesn't make any sense. I do think someone with huge chip under their shoulders, I do think these people can be very, very successful. So I'm just not sure, like when you give people a shot unnaturally, right? Like when you overthink this whole thing, like the woke people are doing nowadays, I think you're very much not helping these people, and you're giving them the easy way and you're teaching them unnaturally how this market will be, right? So I'm just conflicted when it comes to that. Is the solution to stop all the inclusion efforts that we have right now? No, but I certainly think it's discussing them and seeing what we can make out of that. I certainly think that there won't be any billionaires coming out of these inclusion program, because they're like nurtured and then they're released, boom, in this market, and then they understand it's really fucking hard, and it's not like you're gonna have free funds and people help you, or a safety net sort of. So yeah, I certainly think that's worth a discussion. The other post is also controversial. I think saving is the highest form of greed. So maybe I was a bit intense on that. But what I mean by this is that an economy dies when people stop spending, right? If like this guy stopped paying me, and I'm like, oh fuck, everything's ending. I stop paying this guy, and before long, there's a classic domino effect occurring, and everyone stops being bullish on spending money, and the full system falls apart. So yeah, I think someone keeping money in their bank account only favors the bank, and their own psyche. So I think that's quite toxic to the economy. I don't believe in the concept of saving. Definitely invest in something else, right, and see your money grow. But as soon as you have your money sitting somewhere and stagnating, that's just toxic. Because yeah, if you're playing the capitalist game and you're part of this economy, like it's a game that you need to give, and the other receives, and the other might give back to you. It's a trading game. It needs to flow. Money needs to flow for the economy to be healthy again. The concept of saving, I think, pretty much bullshit. Like a lot of people, they teach us that. I think it might be valuable for people starting in this life, like basic concept of saving. But I also think, frugal people are very poor. They're never spending, enjoying life, and I mean, it's a technology. The spending and money is a technology. You need to experience it and give back. And generally speaking, you'll just be much happier, make more money if you spend it. That is my philosophy. I don't believe in the saving and invest in real estate bullshit and all that, and invest in stocks. That is my forward thinking philosophy. Might not fit for most people. Certainly people listening to this will fit with them. It's future oriented people, but yeah, most old people will disagree with that for sure. The next post about, it's similar philosophy to like enjoying life and really seeing business as a fun activity, and not like, oh, I'm gonna retire one day. No, man, if work is fun, like I think a lot of people, they do not think enough in this life, and at some point of the decision tree they fucked up. And another one is certainly, like, let's retire, right? Like, why retire if working is adding cells to your brain, it's making you happy, and it's adding longevity years to yourself? That wouldn't make any sense. So I was just detailing in this post how one client of mine that became a friend is visiting me in Oaxaca. We're gonna dine at Michelin starred restaurant, and we're gonna brainstorm idea and make a couple of thousands while he's here. I think you can really pair both. I don't think business has to be painful all the time. It needs to be painful sometimes, right? I think pain is value, pain is growth, pain is part of life. It's not something to be feared or avoid. But also, you can go at the other end of the spectrum and have fun doing business, right? And do scalable stuff together. Podcasting is certainly part of that philosophy and thesis as well. Podcasting is very fun. You learn about people, you're curious, you ask them cool questions, and if you're on the 80% side of the bets, then you'll have a great podcast. 20% of podcasts won't be that fun, but that's also part of the system and the statistics. The next post is also similar in that philosophy was selling. I was saying that selling your soul for a high price doesn't count as scale. You need to sell product that requires the smallest energy output. That's somewhat of a capitalistic post, profit-oriented one, but it is true. If you sell your full fucking soul at a startup, and you're even like 40 hours a week is way too much. That's selling yourself. Like, you want to be diversified. You want to have most of your time free to do whatever you want. If you spend 40 hours of your week being part of someone else's vision, you're fucked. They fully control your life. And then some people, what will they make employed? 250K at most for most people. It's very few some people that will make more than that in a well-paid job. And it's like, dude, can't you start your own consultancy and make 250K a year yourself? I mean, yeah. So it's a bit worrying when I see people that are like that. That added to all the other thesis with AI and so forth. I just think most people should make the jump right now, and instead of being offended by these videos of mine, just really look at reality with objective lens, and look at the stats, look at data, have a nice chat with ChatGPT, and make sense out of this whole situation. I think most people are past the point of no return. They've been lobotomized for so long by the corporate race that they just cannot think by themselves, really lobotomize them as human beings do. So yeah, that's a bit sad, but hopefully these videos would shock them and, I don't know, bring some midlife crisis and have them pivot at some point. Next point is also similar to this: double down on who you are, delete professionalism and corporatism. If scaling wealth is what you're after, even if you do it today, it might have a high ROI in a couple of years. Yeah, most people, they adapted their thinking to money, right? It's not their thinking that does the money, it's the money that does the thinking. And that's the main problem here. So I had a podcast the other day, and this lady asked me to delete a part of it, talking about Trump or whatever. I'm like, man, can't you just tell your opinion? What's wrong with that? That is yeah, the corporate world that really invaded your mind. You cannot even think or talk and be yourself on the business scene. You need to be a different being. And obviously, I'm still wrestling with that myself with marketing, right? Sometimes I'm launching campaigns, I'm not necessarily myself, and I use the excuse of experimentation, but that's my soul being corrupted. And that's not only wrong from an ethics standpoint, but I think it doesn't scale with money, right? I think you can make a lot of money if you think for yourself, if you think really clearly, like Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, for example. If you keep truth in your radar and can really go down the decision tree and make good decisions, ultimately that's what making money is about. It's being right, scientifically, not right, not from an ego standpoint. So I think people should double down on who they are and show their true colors. And when it comes to talking about politics, for example, well, you A/B test your opinions and you get the opinions of others, and with that you make even better decisions. And hopefully, if you do that enough times, you come down to the truth, only the truth, and you're not caught up in some bias. What happens with a lot of people, and why people stop talking politics, is that there's these toxic people that have very strong opinions that are related with emotions. You can think of rednecks in the US that only had a couple of extremist buddies on their communities to talk and discuss these ideas with, but and then they reinforce and they grow the rage, right? And then next family dinner, you're faced with this redneck, and then they start screaming at you because of politics, right? So this, obviously, I mean, that it's quite clear here that idiot is the redneck, right? And this is not how you discuss politics. You discuss politics with a calm mind. You throw arguments in the ring and you see how they survive via the other argument. Doesn't matter if you're right or wrong, but you need to do that with other calm and educated people. You cannot do that with a hillbilly that will shout their opinions, right? Just to be correct. So that's why I think most people stop talking politics. My podcast has been a cool place to do that. I think most people that come on the pod are smart. They're somewhat civilized, CEOs and founders. And yeah, we can calmly discuss about an opinion. So they have some level of wisdom, right? I think that's how things should be. Then there's people fearing that their employers won't agree or whatever. I mean, fuck their corporations is what I have to say. Like, when your company will fire you because of an opinion of yours, that is like the epitome of corporatism. And it's not you that's wrong, it's them, obviously. I think freedom of speech is really important. Freedom of speech can be taken to an extreme in which it can devour you. That's another conversation, but most of the time you should be able to say what you think, and that's how you'll get smarter, and that's how you'll get a higher IQ, and ultimately that's how you'll be very, very successful in business. It's how you'll go for the billions instead of the millions. Another contrarian point here is FIRE, the financial independence, retire early movement. I think it's total fucking BS. For the same reasons that I mentioned earlier. I think working is fun. Someone shouldn't have to aim for retirement in this life. Like, who wants to fucking hang out on a beach for 10 years of their life, and burn like a marshmallow on a beach for 10 years? Fuck that. Like, you want a complete life. You want to maximize all your 8 areas of life: relationships, spirituality, business, lifestyle, contribution, mindset, knowledge. So yeah, you want to max out all these areas. You don't want just to maximize lifestyle, right? So the reason I'll add to this as well is I don't think it's contrarian, but like, it's definitely stigmatized. I think people are probably tired of hearing me say that, but I think AGI will happen in the next couple of years. I just finished Ray Kurzweil's book on AGI. Ray has been right on most of his predictions, right? It's pretty flabbergasting, and I think that's one of the reason why a bunch of people got excited with the recent ChatGPT advancement and like the massive rush that's happening in the AI world right now. The world have shifted before very eyes. Is that I think that, yeah, AGI will happen before, yeah, probably 2030. So that gives us 5 years. So dude, if you're optimizing for retirement in the next 5 years and AGI happens, like, the world would completely change. That's for one. But for two, someone like me that's seeking power and seeking to influence this world in a better direction, you don't really want to trust someone else with an AGI. If anyone, I think that Sam Altman's to be trusted. But for example, Elon, fuck, man. I love Elon and the capitalist that he is, but dude, that guy is, yeah, and yeah, he's not gone in the right direction. Elon's changed a lot, or at least revealed his color in the last few years. So yeah, definitely don't want this guy in power from a socialistic perspective. So what I'm saying is that most people right now, instead of being so focused on what they're doing, they should probably be working or have at least one of their theses deployed in AI and AGI specifically. They should be involved in that to make sure that once it happens, I don't think it's going to be like a 0 to 1 type of thing or like a today and tomorrow type of event, but I definitely think it's going to drastically disrupt the world in a very fast timeline. That's going to be like weeks or months, and very few people are going to have the agility to move rapidly during these days. So I think, like, yeah, instead of accumulating money and going with these outdated fucking theses from the 1980s of Robert Kiyosaki, I think like they should go for something different, probably like pursuing or being part of the AGI race. And yeah, the FIRE movement, like, who gives a fuck, Like, oh, I have all these cash flows, and even the network thing is a bit outdated, and I understand the other side of that is like, yo, Charles, you don't make sense. Like, you're speculating here, vs like these numbers type of things. But yeah, that's the other side of the spectrum. Maybe these colors can add shades to your thesis and contribute to them. The other post here, I think it's pretty common sense, but I think it bears repeating that most investors are not startup experts. They're just people that want to grow their portfolio, they approve or disapprove their thesis, and basically see their money growing. They don't have much to do with your startup idea. So even if you get like 98 no's and 2 yeses, like the 98 no's, carefully select what type of feedback you're gonna get out of these, because most investors don't know shit. They're not startup people. Most of them, they haven't even built a single fucking company in their lives. They just want to see their money grow. That's who they are, most of them, right? And their feedback, as a matter of fact, shouldn't demotivate you, or shouldn't even be taken into account, because most people, they will take these feedbacks and they will switch their direction, or even worse, pivot off these. And I see a lot of startups dying that way. I think the next posts are again about like billionaires losing their hearts. I think I talked extensively of that. I always revolve around the same topic. It's quite interesting. The next one is, that friend that's coming to Oaxaca pretty soon, and we're gonna fine dine at the Michelin. Like, he recently told me about like an employee that literally took his full business idea and started his own company. And I'm like, yeah, that's that's what ambitious people do. It like, okay, sure, have a non-compete agreement signed with these employees, but no, I think the employee and business relationship is fucked. It's either win lose or lose lose. There's very few that go win win. I've attempted to go win win back in my days when I was employing people. So it was like pure trust, pure value. Give them yoga instructions, meditation sessions, hits. And I used to get a couple that were good, but never enough to justify their mere presence and my time investment into them, right? So my first agency with my first mentor, he employed me first as an SDR, then as a VP marketing. And I grew out of that mentor, and that's what ambitious people do. Like, what the fuck do you think? They're gonna stay there for years under your dictatorship and your 9 to 5 breadcrumb salary? No, dude, they're gonna grow, they're gonna attack, and they're gonna want to walk by themselves, like without any assistance. So, and I think that's very much part of my full thesis with employees. Like, it just doesn't scale. Like, if someone is that good, they're gonna grow out of your business, and if they stay, it's probably because they're B players. And there's so much behind that. You can call it entrepreneurship bullshit. Like, entrepreneurs, if they don't take risks, they're probably not good. You need to take risks in business, so that they classify themselves as a B players. I think the full thinking got really skewed when corporations happened, and these corporations, these gigantic beings that don't behave organically at all, started like rewriting the rules and blurring the full thinking. So yes, I'm talking about startup land, like people that make sense, right? I don't think corporations make sense. I think it's a full bubble. It's second principles thinking pretty much all the time. So as a startup founder, I don't think you should like hire people and expect them to stay for a while. I think you should just expect them to fly by their own wings, which is what I was doing with people. I was like, dude, you're going to stay here for 6-12 months. Then I want you to grow and fly by your own wing, because else it just doesn't make sense, And yeah, that never scaled. So to my social startup founders, business and life are not to be approached from a peace and love mindset. You will get brutalized on your ways to the top. You want to extend your hand once you're at the top with a secure foothold. Have a bulletproof mindset. So yeah, I'm not even sure why I wrote that. Maybe that's because I'm speaking with like social startup founders that are kind and hard first people. It's just that this environment is so brutal, like nature itself, right? Like, go in a forest for a couple of days, even a couple of hours, and you see like everything just eats itself. If you go in a society as well, you'll see these things. You're always like facing these individuals that want to eat you, these lose win type of individuals. So I don't think, the peace and love mindset is gonna bring people like towards the right destination. You need to be hungry. Like obviously, don't be a bully, right? But certainly, do not come with like an innocent mindset that's all positive and everyone's good and everyone. No, that doesn't scale. Like you need to have a good fight every now and then. Just like a king, like a king would be a good analogy. Kings and queens back then, royalty, they were people that would have empathy for the people. Sometimes the best of them, right? Because there were bad kings and queens. But yeah, like once they needed to take a decision, they would be ruthless, and they would think of the full people, the full society when taking a decision, the best of them again, instead of just like being praised that people could take advantage of. And we've seen these types of people as well. They got their head chopped off. How many times are you daydreaming and envisioning on a daily basis? I think that is a very high ROI activity to have as a founder. Yeah, just having a vision over things. I think that's also a cause of burnout for a lot of people. It's just that they don't see themselves going anywhere. They're just heads down, crunching, but they totally forgot about the end vision, like why they're doing that. I think when you have a why, it's really easy to move forward, gives you fuel. I think when you don't have a why, you're fucking lost. And I think that's why a bunch of founders are like, yo, I'm pulling the plug. You just don't have the vision anymore. So yeah, have a vision, visualize yourself a lot of times every day. Matter of fact, I have a screen right now next to me with my vision board sliding up. Houses I want to buy, cars, moments with my family, right? Enjoying life. Have that vision. I think that's really important. I think people are stuck way too much in the hustle mode. Hustle mode needs to have a vision. It needs to have a reason. Why am I hustling right now? Why do I need that money? Right? Do I have higher aspirations as well than just money? Have normal reminders on my LinkedIn, like take risks and make the impossible happen. So take fucking risks, like I don't know what to say there. Like you need to take risks. A lot of people are just too conservative, including if they have a job. That is the worst path ever. Whoever you are, like if you're being tube fed in a job, you're just in such a bad place. And the next couple of years are gonna put that in your face, like quite obviously with AI coming. For founders, progress takes time. $1 million deals take time. I think that's another good reminder. Patience is a theme that you're going to see throughout my posts, my content. Yes, you need to have that hunger. Yes, you need to put action forward, but you need to be very patient as well, because I had high ticket products for years. I developed this year and last year low ticket products, but my very, very high ticket products, usually in the millions, they take time. These are very much long-term collaboration, and the sales cycle will be stretched. I think it's very important that you have patience in these deals, that you execute your funnel, your strategy, but that also you remind yourself that, yeah, these things take time. I think as humans, we think in terms of days, like we go to bed, we wake up. I think most of us, we lose track of time as entrepreneur. Like, I don't care what day it is, like at this point, it's Thursday, whatever. I'm working pretty much every day. I found that equilibrium in my life, but we don't have that multiple months notions of time, nor do we have years, you know. The brain doesn't really situate itself that well. So we tend to lose track of time. So when you think about like big money and big amounts of progress in some areas of your life, you're going to need to be patient. You're going to need to remind yourself that these things take time, because else you're just not being energy efficient and you're losing out. I think you also need to be unreasonable. How could you not be if you want to be successful? You know, like a lot of these videos, they're contrarian. I'm seeing a lot of things that might shock some people, but yeah, definitely, I think that you need to be unreasonable. You need to be different. There's no way you're going to be successful by being quiet and avoiding the fire, avoiding the pain. That's not how it works. I mean, look at Elon, look at Zuck, look at Bezos, you know. They're all people with like strong personality that have their opinions, that think clearly. Ultimately, like being a billionaire is about checking multiple boxes. And just like not checking one box might like discard you from that. And there's probably like 15-ish boxes to check, each of these being extremely hard to develop skills. But you also need breaks, right? Which is what I had last week. Taking 3 days off vacation at the beach, and yeah, was quite surprised. You only need a couple of hours just to feel the effects of a vacation. You're away from the home. You don't have to take care of the dogs, of the kids, of doing X, Y, Z. You just chill. Your main job is to chill and enjoy life, you know, for once. And that brings space to in your brain, brings different neurochemicals, might consolidate some of your ideas and create very important insights. I think it's important that we give us that time. So I'm going to keep it to that for today. Discuss about like 10-ish different themes, most of them revolving around my similar concepts. Hope that you enjoy. I want your feedback on these ideas. Tell me what you think in the comments.